Hello, crypto fans, and we got some news for you. Maybe some pumpage news. Yes, there was obviously, according to whale watchers, $400 million worth of Tether deposited into Binance. Now, I don't know how much you guys follow the theories or what Tether does, but a lot of times a big deposit of Tether into Binance means we are pumping. Yes, it has happened before. It doesn't always happen, so it's obviously not guaranteed. But sometimes it is a precursor to a pump. Generally, what happens if there's a big, gigantic deposit of Bitcoin into Binance, price goes down. But if there's a big deposit of Tether into Binance, price goes up, 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 because they use that Tether to buy Bitcoin. And many people have speculated that in the last couple of bull runs, it was this movement by big whales to buy Bitcoin with Tether at Binance that actually resulted in multiple ups, which resulted in a bull run. So they might actually be cooking up the start of the bull run right now. And this does actually align with probably when we're going to get an ETF through, and with tomorrow when Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is most likely going to say that we are not having any more interest rate hikes. That's a triple threat for a bull market, and tomorrow might be the bear extinction event. Yes, now this could go the opposite way exactly, because there is a possibility that Jerome Powell surprises all of us all of a sudden tomorrow and says, I'm going to raise the interest rates by 25 basis points, which would cancel all the good feelings because that means he's still raising the interest rate. But Jerome Powell does not like to surprise people. He does telegraph this stuff out basically a month in advance, or at least a couple of weeks in advance. And all the indications are the Fed is not going to raise the interest rates anymore. So crypto should actually go up within the next couple of weeks. And also, you couple that with this fact that Bitcoin supply on exchanges is at like 5-year lows. They haven't been this low at 2018, but it's not for the same reason. People are actually withdrawing their Bitcoin from exchanges to their own wallets, by the ways. Yes, to their own wallets, by the ways. Because they don't want, exchanges freezing their Bitcoin or something happening at exchanges. So exchanges don't have much liquidity. Well, what happens when you don't have much liquidity? There's a bunch of Tether wanting to buy Bitcoin, an ETF comes through, and interest rates stop rising. You get the formula for another really big bull run. Now, I don't know if this will be the bull run that we're waiting for. I still think that's kind of next year. And the thing is, right now, it wouldn't actually be the best time for altcoins for Bitcoin to actually come through because we don't have clarity yet on the secondary market. So if it happens, it'll all be going into Bitcoin and Ethereum anyways at this point. And it's mainly going to be Bitcoin because people don't really seem to like Ethereum all that much. I mean, the rest of the money in the world will be going through the altcoin market, but American money may not funnel into the altcoin market. I still think because Coinbase has those coins listed, they will funnel into the altcoin market, but maybe not as much. But maybe that judgment for Coinbase is coming through very soon. And of course, Do Kwon, coincidentally, filed to get his case dismissed again by the judge from the SEC. And I think this time there is actually a danger that the SEC does get the case dismissed, or Terra Luna gets the SEC case dismissed, because the SEC has been stalling all this time and they have brought forth no new evidence that proves Terra Luna was selling unregistered securities, because they cannot prove that any of this stuff is actually unregistered securities. And like I said in yesterday's video, if they can't prove that, they really can't prove anything else as securities. And if that case gets dismissed, the Coinbase case is almost certainly going to get dismissed, and the Binance case as well. Both Coinbase and Binance, if you guys didn't know, are filing to get their securities case dismissed by the SEC. And that would be a very devastating blow to the SEC, but it would be great for the entire crypto market. Because, realistically, the crypto market, the altcoin market needs more clarity, especially on the secondary market and on the primary markets as well. That's why the Coinbase case is critical for the price rise in alts. Alts have been bleeding against Bitcoin precisely because they don't really have we don't really know what the final ruling is. Right now, Coinbase does not have to delist anything, but if they lose the case, they would actually have to delist everything. And getting the case dismissed would just mean the SEC basically has no jurisdiction over the secondary market, which is what we want. The primary market, they are going to have some jurisdiction over. I mean, Ripple lost that part of the case. Their ODL sales, their institutional sales, those are definitely going to be under the SEC's jurisdiction. So they won't be able to sell, no cryptos will actually be able to sell to institutions in the United States. But some of the coins like Cardano that we're interested in did not actually have their ICO in the United States. Therefore, the SEC doesn't have any real jurisdiction over them. But the secondary market is crucial because that's where we all buy our coins. Unless you're a big investor, you don't really have access to the actual ICOs. I know a couple of crap coins have had their ICOs and you do have access to them, but most of the big coins, you don't actually have ICO access to them. So the thing is, we buy everything on the secondary market, and that's the lifeblood of crypto right now. The exchanges in the secondary market. I know some people buy off DEXs, but there's still a lot of use on the primary exchanges. And realistically, that's all where all the fiat on-ramps are. I mean, I suppose you could on-ramp via Bitcoin ATMs, but there's a 19-20% fee on some of those ATMs, and you don't really want to use that. So this case is very critically important. If that comes through within the next couple of months, and all this other stuff that I just explained, including the transfers into Binance, the Fed rate stop hiking, and the ETF coming through. If all that stuff comes through within the next month or two, we could be looking at an earlier bull run than we actually think. Now, the thing is, I think it will continue into next year, but the momentum will definitely be building this year. I mean, next year we already expect it because we expect the interest rates to slowly come down next year. And more than that, we expect an ETF. People in the industry are pretty much sure with 95% certainty or more that there's going to be an ETF by January, but they could move it up into November or even December. The thing is, there has been talk about how Gary Gensler just waiting to rug pull all of us. And while that is a possibility, it's pretty unlikely, because that would result in a lot of lawsuits that the SEC would most likely lose. And the SEC has lost enough lawsuits already to basically completely kill their credibility at any time. So the thing is, they don't really have much more there. Eventually, the Coinbase thing, I think they're going to lose, and then they're going to lose jurisdiction over all cryptos on the secondary market, which means all cryptos gain regulatory clarity at that point. And it could come this year. So while the primary market's always going to be somewhat troublesome for sales, the secondary market, as long as it's released, will be a huge relief for the coins that are actually out there right now. And coins like Cardano, Kaspa, they're not going to have to worry because Cardano had their ICO in the United States. Kaspa has a fair launch, which means they didn't really sell anything, ICOs, and they had a fair distribution. So they wouldn't actually have to worry about those things. And most coins, I don't think would actually have to worry about these things. I think there's certain coins the SEC will sue, but I think largely if they lose the Coinbase, Terra Luna, and Binance case, I think they're going to definitely back off on the crypto market. I do think they see that the tide is actually turning against them. More lawmakers are actually favoring crypto right now. And Elizabeth Warren's argument of Terra's funding with crypto is falling apart because at the testimony, the expert basically said the statistics were completely BS and there wasn't really all that much Terra's money coming from crypto. So the arguments against crypto are basically falling apart at this point. The lawsuits are turning all in our favor. And the thing is, I think people see the environment and the situation we're in, and that's why some of that money is coming to Binance. I do think they are just waiting for some of these announcements to come through, for the Fed to stop raising interest rates, and for some of these lawsuits to turn out in our favor. And I think they have a clue that it is going to turn out in our favor. Once this stuff happens, they're going to use that money to buy Bitcoin. And remember, there's not much liquidity on the exchanges. So eventually, if they want to buy on the exchanges, they're going to have to buy the price up. That's why I'm really looking at this $400 million transfer of Tether into Binance, because it's been used to pump and buy Bitcoin before. And I do think it's going to be used to buy Bitcoin now, because the situation and everything seems to be lining up in the correct direction for this to actually take place. And I don't really think there's much anyone can do to stop it. So I definitely wouldn't bet on a big Bitcoin dump before the halving. There obviously can be small retraces, but I don't think we're going to go below 30,000. I don't think there's too much of a chance we're going to go below 25,000. And I think that's kind of like the bottom line. You can try to wait for 25,000 to buy. I really just wouldn't, because there's no guarantee we're even going back. Like, the yield curve is going to fix itself within half a year or so, maybe like 3/4 of a year. And the economic situation in the United States isn't that bad, especially when you compare it to like other countries out there. I mean, BRICS is the one that's talking about, like, the US situation might seem sort of bad, but if you look at China, if you look at Russia, if you look at South Africa, those are pretty much like, South Africa is essentially just falling apart. Russia, like, their economy is basically collapsing. Their ruble is completely collapsing. And China's economy has so many problems; it's way worse than the United States. So, like, any thought of anything overtaking the U.S. within BRICS is going to be just like fantasy land at this point, because 3 of their 5 members are pretty much not doing all that well, and like, they're bordering, like, Russia and South Africa especially are bordering on collapse. China's not doing that much better. So, like, it's kind of an alliance in name only. So, like, I actually think things are going to look a lot better next year, despite the infighting in the United States. Like, things are going to look a lot better next year, and that's going to look very, very good for the crypto market. If the dollar actually, like, if people have some more doubts about the dollar, I think that's going to play well into crypto as well. So there's so many factors that are actually favoring crypto right now. I do think this $400 million buy, I think some of that will actually buy Bitcoin on Binance. And yes, they're only going to buy Bitcoin. They're not really going to buy any other coins with that money. So, but as long as Bitcoin goes up, the other coins will actually go up. So keep your eye on it, and keep your eye out for big announcements within the next month and a half. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.